Welcome to the Michigan Man Podcast on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew, for Wolverine fans from coast to coast. Go Blue and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Happy 4th of July weekend, everyone. Today we have a Michigan Man Extra coming your way. We'll be back on Wednesday with our regular show. Our guest then will be former Michigan offensive lineman Marc Ramirez, who's made local and national news with his transformation to a plant-based diet. It's good stuff that all of us need to pay attention to, so I hope you'll join me next week on Wednesday for that show with Marc Ramirez. Of course, we'll also get Marc's take on what's going on with his friend and former teammate, Jim Harbaugh. On today's Extra, my guest is Jay Flannelly, better known to Michigan fans as the Beav of Endzone fame. Jay is a very busy guy, and one of his passions is the Chad Tough Foundation. He stops by today to discuss that and much more here on the Michigan Man on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Back with us on our Michigan Man segment for this month. When this airs, it's going to be early in July. Is a gentleman who we've had on before, and of course is known to all Michigan fans from Endzone fame and a lot of other venues now. Jay Flannelly, also known as the Beav. Welcome back, Jay.
Mike, good to be with you, buddy. Happy 4th of July, and to all the Maize and Blue Michigan fans out there.
Well, here we are, Jay. It's not quite midsummer yet, so it's that point of the year, that time, I should say, where we're just anticipating the start of the football season. And you always have something interesting to talk about. So tell all the Maize and Blue faithful what's on your mind today.
Everybody's getting excited and get ready to start the football season. Most of the football mags are out. I got a stack of them, both NCAA and the sport that I know one to watch. It's run by Roger Goodell. But one of the things I want to talk to you about, and I'm talking with some other people about, is my involvement in the Endzone book and some other articles about how we landed Coach Harbaugh here at U of M. So I want to talk about that and go into some things I haven't really talked about, behind-the-scenes stuff, and good information for you, Mike.
Well, Jay, I know you've mentioned Lloyd Carr and Jason were very instrumental in bringing you on board, or at least nudging you in the direction of getting involved with bringing Jim back to Michigan. Talk a little about that.
Let me emphasize this from the start before we go into this, because some people misconstrue what I'm about to say. I wasn't an anti-Jim Harbaugh guy. I was anti the last 7 years of nonsense we had here, where we had people backstabbing and people turning on each other and leaking stuff and not being good for the University of Michigan. Because the Jim situation with when he was at Stanford, the academic comments, everybody knows what I'm talking about. There were a lot of people still mad at him. And also, to be perfectly honest with you, I completely underestimated the stupidity of San Francisco 49ers, and because they had Jim's rights, they controlled everything. They tried to trade him to the Cleveland Browns the year before in the draft. So I wasn't even considering Jim as a serious candidate. And to be honest with you, Mike, I had reached out to a couple of my friends, and they had also informed me that it was very unlikely that Jim would be allowed to leave the NFL by Jed York and Trent Baalke. So, while it would have been a fantasy land and nice idea, I mean, again, on this thing here, you cannot say enough about my friend John Gindia, who from literally September was telling everybody who would listen, we can get Jim Harbaugh here, we can get Jim Harbaugh here. Trust me, when all this was going down, John was the number one guy and leading me into, hey, Jay, we can get this guy. He wouldn't let us stop and quit, and it's all in Endzone. And also the Flame, John Arbiznik, and Yale Van Dyne were huge. Yale Van Dyne, number 34, from the late 80s, early 90s. The other wide receiver, Desmond Howard and Derek Alexander. So these guys really led the charge. They stood up to the people in our administration and university that needed to be and cleared the way. But those guys were huge. And, when I got really, really actively involved, Gindia was the man. So, but as far as Coach Carr and Jason go, huge allies of mine from literally the day I landed here in Michigan in '93. But a thing that really was a huge turning point for me and how important it was to get Coach Harbaugh here was those two, after what they were dealing with, their grandson and son, Chad, having, obviously a serious diagnosis with a brain tumor, a 5-year-old, campaigning to me, taking time out of their day and their day-to-day struggle with DIPG to say to me, hey, Jay, we need to get this guy here. We need to bring him on board. And they were 100% invested in it. And you're sitting there, these guys are telling you this stuff, and I go, wow, this must be really, really important to the coach and Jason. And they're like, it's like my father and my brother to me, coming to me and saying, hey, we need to get this guy here. This is important, because I think, to be honest with you, Mike, they were like me, and they said, we screw this hire up, Michigan football is going to be back in the Stone Ages. So I think that was a huge part of it.
Well, of course, that was well covered, most of it, in John U. Bacon's fantastic book, Endzone, which brought you to everyone's attention, Jay, and nationally. But you're talking about Jason and Lloyd Carr, and of course, we all know what happened with Chad. And you are very involved in the Chad Tough Foundation. A lot of us know about the Chad Tough Foundation, from a cursory point of view. Tell us how that's going and what the end game is for the Chad Tough Foundation.
Again, Mike, thanks for bringing that up. Basically, what the Chad Tough Foundation is now, when the biggest way I can explain it to you, when Tammy and Jason found out what Chad was dealing with, there just wasn't a lot of information and ideas on how to stop this thing, because the numbers are so small for the amount of people. Well, 300 people a year get DIPG around the country. So these cancer centers going to view it, and it sounds sad that it is this way, but they don't view it as a sound investment and a good expenditure to do research on this thing. So with Jason and Tammy, particularly Tammy, because she has a tremendous background in fundraising and working in Mott for so many years, where she said, hey, let's create a nonprofit, let's create a foundation in Chad's name and raise money for DIPG research. They do things like a couple weekends ago, we had the garage sale where Tammy and Jason's entire neighborhood had people, their entire literally neighborhood were having bake sales, selling stuff out of their yard, selling stuff out of the garage. That's why it's a garage sale, and things like that. And then on the weekend, we had the softball tournament, which my buddies and I at Pizza House were involved in. But, they do stuff like that. And just to give you an idea how little funding there is for DIPG, and Tammy and Jason are doing a great job because they have so many friends in the media. You get idiots like me going on the radio screaming and yelling about it. Mike Tirico, so many others. The Harbaughs are just incredible in it with this. But great story that Jason told me, in 1962, Neil Armstrong, the astronaut, daughter, got DIPG. And Mike, they've made such little strides with this thing. Chad was getting the exact same treatments that Neil Armstrong's daughter was getting. And Chad got sick in 2014, September. So think about that. I'm not a math major, but last time I checked, I think that's 52 years. Mm-hmm. Well, to give you an idea, I'm 44, so that's not good when you're using the same medical techniques. And when you look at any of these diseases around the world, leukemia, HIV/AIDS, all cancer, one of the ways, you can't save everybody. We're all going to die sooner or later, but you can do things to extend life. You can find a cure maybe for some of this stuff. But how you do that is there's people talking about it, what you and I are doing right now, just exposing and talking about it, and doctors sharing information. And one of the cooler things here is all these doctors have come forward and gone to Jason and Tammy and Coach Carr and others and just said, hey, they've helped, and they're gaining information. One of the things you learn about things is talking about it. Unfortunately, that's how I become famous there with the book and Deflategate, everything else. Everybody knows who I am now. So you talk about these things, and we will save Chad, the next Chad down the road. And that's one of the big goals of the Chad Tough Foundation.
Well, Jay, DIPG is just it is a horrible thing, and as you said, and for lack of a better term, it's not a sexy investment when it comes to the pharmaceuticals and other concerns. And Tammy and Jason do such an incredible job with a lot of help from their friends. What, though, do they have in mind? Is there anyone that's doing research on this, or is that the end game for the Chad Tough Foundation to get research financed and maybe have a location like University of Michigan that will spearhead that?
There's just one doctor, I believe he's out in New York, if you go to the Chad Tough org, chadtough.org, I believe is the website. I'm bad with the website names because I got to load on my laptop, but just Google in his name, and there's always updates. Tammy on Facebook and Twitter is really active. We got the Chad Tough Foundation, and then we got the Chad Tough Champions. Basically, what that has all information. Several doctors, and there's one study they're working on right now that Jason was telling me about. You mentioned Tammy and Jason, and part of why I brought up the Harbaugh situation is I cannot tell you, and one of the reasons why I brought that up was that how much Sarah and Jim Harbaugh do for Chad and the charity and the cars. Every event they're there. The garage sale, Coach was signing khakis, and it's really funny how the world works. But I was part of the group that helped get Coach Harbaugh here. And Jason and Lloyd were the number one reason why I got so heavily involved in getting Jim here. And now he's out helping their grandson and son. So I think it's really funny how the world works at times. How I met Tom Brady is through Jason Carr. Because Jason was a senior quarterback here in '95, and Tom literally would not leave us alone and followed us everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it says both a lot about him and us that he still talks to us after the way we treated him. But it's just crazy that how the world works. And we helped get Jim here. I helped get Jim here. Jason helped get Jim here. Tom helped us get Jim here. And what's happened with Chad and everything else. But it's incredible. They're number one people. Tammy and Jason call. Sarah is there. Jim's there. And I don't know if you noticed, Mike, Jim's a busy man. So that means a lot that he's taking time. He's out, ruining the world according to the NCAA and the SEC. So it's a big deal when he takes time out of his day to help, sick kids. And that's the thing about Coach Harbaugh I don't think enough people talk about, is that he's a really, really good guy. Any schmuck can coach football, but, it takes more to have a football program, a football family. That's part of the thing we lost in the last 7 years. For whatever reason, Rich Rod was an outsider, and a lot of people didn't like him from day one, which was wrong. And Coach Hoke there was more behind-the-scenes stuff with him than Coach Hoke's problems, but just an incredible guy, and I'm very, very proud that I'm part of the story about how getting coached here. But Jason and Lloyd are people that are not getting enough credit. And I mentioned Gindia and the Flame and Yale. Gindia just would not let people say no. He just was on them 24/7. And Coach Carr and Jason swung me because I just did not want 7 more years of a civil war.
No, I don't think any of us did. It's trending in the right direction. I think we're all happy right now. But just touching base again, though, on the Chad Carr Foundation, Jay, because that just is something I think about quite often. What can listeners do? I'll post the link to the Chad Tough Foundation. Are there upcoming events? Is there
Sure.
a location where they can donate or learn more about what the Chad Tough Foundation is?
Like I said, the website, the next big event they have is the Chad Tough run on September 24th, the day of the Penn State game. It's I did the walk last year because unless you got a bunch of guys with AK-47s and M16s and machetes to chase me, I can't run. So even though I'm considering running this year, I've been insured by Jason that they have insurance and ambulances. So I might be able to attempt the run. So I might have to go to a secret location and train. But just support that. There's always something going on. Little things add up with this thing. Like, Tammy and Jason go to different events, and there's little bake sales and little things like that. I'll tell you something that I would suggest that people do. Everybody, pretty much every day goes and gets a coffee, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Espresso Royale, where Jay goes, Tim Hortons, whatever. Take $5 a week, Mike, and add it up. That's $2,600. This is something I'm doing. We can call it Beav's Buddies, Jay's Friends, whatever you want to call it. Donate it to the site, the Chad Tough Foundation, whatever you want. I don't care what you call it. Jay's a jerk. Just donate it. And just donate it. And, $260 to this cause. And this foundation goes a long, long way because, like I said, when Jason and Tammy were at Mott's, they had no answer for these people. I mean, I was there that Friday when he got sick, and that was not a good scene. You go in there, I'm expecting an Up With People concert from Jason, and I didn't get the Up With People concert. It was not what I was expecting because, that's the society we're in today. Hey, you got a disease. Hey, we fix it. No, well, this was one of them that you can't fix. And, I don't know a lot of things in the world, but I know this, that 5-year-olds should not die. And that's on us, all the people that are left behind, to do something about it. Because, I don't want to see a family or other group of people go through with the cars, Tammy, Jason, Tommy, CJ, Lloyd, Lori, Karen, Missy, Emily, Vigo. I mean, these are my friends. I know these people. I would not be here today if it was not for the Carr family. And I like to tell you that I don't think Coach Harbaugh would be here today if it wasn't for the Carrs, because there are all these people that think I had such a huge role in this thing. Well, I wouldn't have had such a huge role in this thing if the Carrs didn't take their time and say, hey, Jay, we need this guy here. Because they were like my swing vote. Because, trust me, I lived through the 7 years of hell, and that's what it was, of, all the good vibes I'm getting now, I got the other for 7 years. Beaver, why haven't you got Rich Rod fired? That type of stuff. I would get phone calls like that. So, now I'm getting Beav, good job, you got Harbaugh here. So I tell people all the time, I'm real glad Jim didn't go 2-10 because I think I'd be dead. So that's a good thing. So, but it's we got to do things like good people like you helping. We got to stop this thing. No more Chads. No more Chads.
Well, we're going to get the information. I will have the link up to the Chad Tough Foundation website. You can also check Tammy's Chad Foundation Facebook page. I think a lot of people have seen that too. Yeah,
that's one of the really good things. And Tammy is like me. She wasn't big on Twitter, but she got big into Twitter because of Chad. But the Facebook page is incredible. And Chrissy Wyrot. Tom Wyrot from the Hoops SID at Michigan. His wife runs a lot of websites to help Tammy. Because trust me, if you've been on that thing, Tammy needs help with that thing. There's so much information coming in. There's a guy walking from I believe Pennsylvania to Michigan with for Chad. That's one of the things. I believe he's coming out July 11th. That's on the website. Guy is literally from Pennsylvania. He's walking here to raise money for Chad and the Chad Tough Foundation. That's something that I forgot to mention, Mike. Sorry.
A good story. I read that yesterday in M Live. So if any of our listeners,
the guy's name is Mike. If that sounds, I think it's Mike, right?
I think so.
See, Mike, it's great things coming for people with cool names, huh?
Well, we all need to help in any way that we can. It's just a horrible, horrible disease, and as you said, to see a 5-year-old, go through that, and then the lingering effects on the family. But Tammy and Jason and a lot of people are channeling into very positive effects and to change the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. And everybody who's seen the ESPN piece that Gene Wojnarowski did with Tammy and Jason right about when Chad died. The point Tammy made at the end of that, where, Chad changed the world. And, I don't know how many people can say that when they're 5 years old. And it sucks that he's gone. And there probably hasn't been a day where I haven't cried talking about it or thinking about it. But think about this. There are going to be no more Chads because of Chad, if that makes any sense. Because, you got people like me helping Tammy and Jason, and for every one of me, there's thousands. And because I'm all with you today, Mike, we're going to get more people. So, that's the thing. Information, money, time, doctors, all these things take out DIPG because, the stories are awful. It's hard to look at the website with the different kids that Chad met at hospitals, or Tammy and Jason meet, and you get families calling Tammy and Jason for help because they know what they've gone through. It's the third child from our football program that I know that I visited at Mott that had some kind of tumor, or, somewhat. It's not all DIPG, but it's, childhood cancer, which there are a lot of bad phrases in the world, like Ohio State, Michigan State. Childhood cancer, I think, is up there. New York Yankees. So, childhood cancer is not a phrase I want to hear very much of more anymore. And, you never know. We had Jerry Lewis forever. We might have a Jason Carr telethon or a Tammy Carr telethon. We need our Jerry Lewis for this thing. The Muscular Dystrophy Foundation, which he did for. We need our guy for that. Hopefully, the tragedy of what the Carrs went through in Chad, there are going to be no more Chads, as Jason and Tammy would say.
Well, all I can say is to be continued, and we just have to continue to support the events and get the information out there to folks about what's going on, and we'll try to do that. Our guest here on the Our Michigan Man Extra for early July is Jay Flannelly. And Jay, of course, we all know from Endzone fame, we've had Jay on the show before, and we've heard you on The Ticket in Ann Arbor, so always a great guest, Jay, and I know you are running out of time with this, but I can't let you get away without asking you, even though it's early July, do you have your ankles taped yet, and are you ready for the start of the season? Yeah,
very excited. Like I mentioned earlier, I've got a bunch of the preview books. One of the things I would recommend that people do, if you're a big Michigan fan or just a fan of the Big Ten football in general, is look at the schedules. And because of the interdivisions, there are some teams in this league that have huge advantages, and I'm not going to go into that because we got time constraints. But, right down, there's pretty much 5 teams I think most people would say could win the Big Ten: Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Iowa, and Wisconsin. And look who plays who plays them where, and who they don't play. I'm going to give you a clue. Michigan plays the other 4 teams, and 3 of them are on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So take that into factor. Obviously, everybody's talking about the quarterback situation. To me, the area that I would think is going to decide whether this is a good team or a great team is our offensive line. And I think they're going to have a good year. I love Coach Drevno, so I think they're going to come up and step up and have a second year in Coach Harbaugh's system. They're losing 1 lineman, but I believe Mr. Newsom's going to come in and do a pretty good job. And he played a lot last year. And the underrated part of that is, Mike, you got my man Jake Butt, Ty Wheatley, Bunting, all these guys. They got a good group of tight ends. Tight ends can be, 3rd, 4th, 5th tackles, help out with the pass game, run game, and, help out that O-line and get them going. Because obviously I think the tight end position is the deepest group on the team, so no pressure on my man Jay Harbaugh there. But I think he's secured his job, though. But just got to get those guys rocking and rolling. I'm not at all concerned about the linebackers because Don Brown's here, and I'm still recovering from a hamstring injury from jumping up and down when we hired him. So I'm fanatic about Don Brown. I watch him at BC. I've been on record with several people saying the single greatest hire Michigan has made since Jim Harbaugh. When Don Brown is very good at turning quarterbacks upside down. which is a very good thing in football today. So and not only turning quarterbacks upside down, turning running backs upside down, and anybody else who handles the ball upside down, TFL, sacks, and you'll notice one of the stranger things about his defense is when you start seeing this year is they don't give up a lot of big plays. Usually when people blitz, people think they give a lot of big plays. They don't. And you'll see what I'm talking about. I watched the guy at BC. I watch him at UConn. I have lots and lots of friends who played for him or coached for him, and it's just such a phenomenal hire. I just started jumping up and down, going crazy when we hired. I still can't believe we hired Don Brown, but that's Coach Harbaugh. That's why he's here. The guy that demands and extends excellence, and I think we're going to have a really big year.
Well, there you go. From the Beav, we're all hoping is going to be.
Is that good enough for you, Mike?
Hey,
Did you like that? Did you like that?
That was good. you covered it all, Beav, so that...
I tried, buddy. That's why I'm here.
Jay, it's been great having you on the show. You'll be back, and we'll continue to talk about the Chad Tough Foundation, get that news out there.
I want everybody to have a happy and safe 4th of July weekend and, get out and enjoy the weather. It's beautiful, but no drinking and driving, no silly, stupid stuff. We want everybody in the stadium when the season starts, if you know what I mean. Rock and roll, buddy. Go Blue.
Go Blue, Jay. It's been a pleasure. Thanks to the Beav, Jay Flannelly, for being our guest on today's Michigan Man Extra. I'm back on Wednesday with our next regular show featuring former Michigan player Marc Ramirez, who is making local and national news with his amazing health transformation after switching to a plant-based diet. It's information we should all pay attention to. His results are just amazing. We'll also talk some Michigan football with him before we let him get away. Like us on Facebook at The Michigan Man Podcast, follow us on Twitter at The Michigan Man, where you can also follow Wolverine Sports Radio at Go Blue Radio. Our free show app is available from the iTunes and Google Play stores, so check it out and take it with you wherever you go this summer. A reminder that we're still on our summer schedule of 2 shows a month, and every so often an impromptu Michigan Man Extra like this show. We will return to weekly programming in August, in preparation for the upcoming season. That will do it for today. Have a great Wolverine 4th of July weekend, everyone. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. I'll see you back here next week. Until then, take care, and as always, go Blue. Thanks for joining us today on The Michigan Man, here on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Our listener lines are open 24/7 for your calls at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or email us at themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. That's themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan, and is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue!